Okay, perfect. Okay. Anyways, I'm loud, so it's going to be louder. So coming back, like I said, we are going to discuss on how the C-suite is driving the ROI in terms of the digital and AI initiative and portfolios. Okay, and we have two very well experienced gentlemen with us, and we would want to explore their experience and their opinions. And we want to keep this more of a conversational kind of a discussion where if there is any this point which you want at any given point, any specific questions that we are discussing, and if you feel you need further clarity, please feel free to let us know, and please have those conversations included as well. All right. So Abdurrahman, just to start with you, okay. Usually, what happens is in terms of any the digital and AI initiatives, and now from your perspective and your experience, what usually happens is there is a lot of aspects in terms of these initiatives. So you will have your speed of innovation, you will have the governance risk, and then you will also have a long-term value creation. So in all these aspects, how do the C-suite find a balance in this, and how do we scale this with these aspects? If you can,
Well, first, thank you all. Thank you to the organizers, and thank you to Sam for all attendees who can hear this killing practically. So, in terms of governance for the AI, the broader spectrum, digital organization, digital ecosystem, and all related aspects to that, it's basically there is no size fit for all. There is no unified policy or a framework that we can adapt to related to the digital spectrum, say. I think the distinct is we need to differentiate between two elements: the core infrastructure, the core ecosystem, ARP system, financial, customer experience related to our customers and so on, and the edge innovation part, which basically AI, pilots, C, and all this cutting edge environment that we are working on. So the first aspect of governance for core infrastructure, we should have zero tolerance for risks, for security. We should have a very structured way of approaching that, building our infrastructure, updating our infrastructure, keeping in mind that this is the stability of our organizations. This is the core elements that we are working on. If the core infrastructure, the core ecosystem have an issue or stopped, the whole organization will be at halt. We cannot do more work, we cannot reach our customer. It will be basically a disaster for the organization. And we can see that happening right now in the, I think this week or the week before, news about an AI zero-click security breach related to one of the AI agents. It's basically had a zero-click security breach to the actual core data of the organization that were implementing this AI agent. Given that in mind, for the core infrastructure, zero tolerance for risk, zero deviating from the actual value, we move to the edge innovation part, which basically will be built around the sandbox of technology to make sure that we don't implement it or we don't go live unless we have a very clear link to the actual value of the organization. Less than that, we have hobbies, we have IT engineer going on and on about new pilots and new concepts without an actual value. Giving them this agility will make sure that they have the flexibility to fail fast, to iterate, to implement new ideas while maintaining the core structure is very secure and very risk, zero risk appetite for it. I think by combining these two governance methods, we can have both of those worlds in terms of moving fast while maintaining stability, maintaining value, and maintaining the whole integrity of our organization.
Excellent, excellent. And again, this is keeping up with whatever we had discussed in the early sessions as well, and that's my statement for the day as well, that if your AI cannot be regulated, it cannot be scaled. So that's a very valid discussion and addition of opinion onto this. Thanks again. Gaurav, let's go ahead, all right. And from what you say, from the next question for you. So usually when we go to the management, to the board or the executive committee, all right, and when usually IT goes there, it's more about what cost savings can be done, all right. But what I want to understand is more from, a cost-saving perspective or a productivity gain kind of scenario, how do you see the strategic business outcomes for the executives is realistically met through the digitalization and AI? Because whenever any CIO or any C-suite from the technology side goes to the board meetings, or it's the first expectation from them is what you're going to say or how you're going to give us some productive gains. But I'm talking beyond that, where we are saying from a strategic business outcome, how will the executives have some realistic expectations?
Yeah, first of all, Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon, everybody. It's a real privilege and pleasure being here. Thanks for having me here. Fantastic question, and I want to bring it to life by giving two personal examples where I have seen the impact of AI going beyond pure cost savings. I mean, cost savings are important, but I think we are selling the potential of what AI can deliver short if we are just looking at pure cost savings. The first is an example of how we are seeing AI make a significant impact when we are running the operations of complex mission-critical environments like data centers, like other facilities. And one of the key aspects there is around planned preventive maintenance. And the insights that AI can provide are being used to effectively also influence capital decisions. Like when do you buy assets? When do you replace assets? If you maintain them on a regular basis using AI insights to do the preventive maintenance, yes, it cuts down your operational costs, but it can have a huge impact on the capex that you need to spend. Another example, when I was running my own AI startup, we had a big issue that our sales and marketing costs were not aligned with our revenue growth. And being a startup, you always have to be very prudent about how much you can spend. So yes, the first question when I was implementing an Gen AI solution to improve the efficiency of my sales and marketing team was, how can I scale, for example, like producing more content that I need on websites, on LinkedIn, without doubling my team size? So that was the first outcome that we achieved. But the bigger objective which I had committed to the board was around reducing. One of the key metrics that my investors used to track used to be cost of customer acquisition, and what percentage of the pipeline is being sourced through the marketing effort. And we went over a year and a half from having none of our leads being sourced from marketing to almost 40% of our leads being sourced from marketing, which had a direct impact on revenue growth. So I think the cost savings is table stake. It will hopefully pay for the license cost that you invest in any AI solution. But the bigger gain is, can you actually transform the business to, for example, in my previous example, optimize your capital spend, or in my second example, to drive revenue growth.
those investments are, and again, I'm talking in terms of last year where you started and everybody was wanted to get into the AI class and wanted to make sure that you are not left behind. All right. But from that kind of phase, I would say, in today's day and age, things have changed. So, from a leadership perspective, what kind of a strategies should the AI and the digital team should use now to stay aligned with the core business priorities? Because this is now no longer, we want to do something on AI, from how the AI is now aligning with the core business priorities. So what kind of a strategies, maybe if you've done something or maybe you have some experience you can share?
Well, first thing I would say is that, again, going back to the initial question and what Gaurav mentioned here is basically any innovation, any technology is not linked to the strategic objective, value, KPI of the organization is basically a hobby of an engineer. The way we can link it, there is too many ways to link the initiatives, the projects to the organizational strategic direction. The most, to my opinion, easy way to do is basically using the value driver tree, making a mathematical link between the outcome of the project, innovation, whatever you can call it, to the actual progress of the organization in terms of strategic objectives, KPIs. That's not only about financial gains, reducing cost, the value, as I think we have here many government entity representative. The goal may be citizen involvement, can be optimizing for more employee efficiency. And to many extent, this is basically not an IT project. It is a business capability in terms of the organizational goals. And the more we can address this issue and distinction between the projects as an technological advancement and how it can advance our organization toward the strategic objective, the more we can align these initiatives. Now, there will be an aspect of translating this between the C-suite languages, if I may say. So the CFO is talking about financial language, and CIO will be talking about digital-oriented language. The link between these areas can be done through linking the KPIs on departmental level and on leadership KPIs, measurements to the board and within the organization itself. So no more isolated department or divisions. The CIO will have a KPI related to the P&L, and the CFO will have a KPI measuring the efficiencies of the efficiency of the employees and so on. I think by doing that, we can look at the organization as a living entity that can complement each other in terms of achieving the ultimate goal of the organization.
Excellent.
I fully agree with what Abdurrahman you're saying, and I think you made a very good statement. It's not an IT project. And I think that's the reason why, if you see a lot of stats, 90 to 95% of AI projects are failing beyond pilots because you don't have sponsorship of a CEO or a CFO, which means that there's all experimentation going, which is good technically, but not really linked to the outcome, the business value or the P&L. And with no disrespect to the vendor community, I've been a vendor of AI and tech solutions for most of my career. I've also been a buyer. There is huge sales pressure in the organizations. A software company is trying to sell their software. They have to meet their license quota. A services company is trying to sell their people. And they're inundating the buyers today who are also getting pressure from the board. Why are you not showing me some AI pilots? That is a recipe for disaster, because if you are just buying to retire your quota, or if you're just buying because you have to have a tick in the box that you have done 3 or 4 AI pilots, the chances are you're not going to succeed. But if you move it back to what you were saying about business value and outcome, P&L accountability, I think you have a greater chance of succeeding.
Excellent, excellent. Like again, Mr. Abdurrahman and Gaurav, point here is that we need to have these conversations more from a shared accountability across departments and not just one department who actually is executing the project. And that's very well said. And prior to me, I mean, I'll come back to you, Gaurav, in terms of the question. So in the earlier question, we talked a lot about the cost and cost saving and how it can actually, other than cost saving, the strategic outcome. But what we now want to understand from you is how can the digital and AI initiative, enable more customer-centric, agile, and revenue-driven business model?
Yeah.
So not the cost part, but now we are coming to the second aspect of any business where we are saying, how is it more customer-centric? How can I make it more agile and a revenue-driven?
Yeah, and I think that's when you start exploring how AI can make a transformative impact on your business. And I'll give you another example. I worked with a leading retailer in this region, and they wanted to use Gen AI to, of course, to start with, to improve their customer service, serving the customers through their AI assistant. But that was just the initial step. The main goal for them is how you can build a platform where not just their brands, but other brands can come and host. So you can then monetize the value of the asset you have built. So if you have built an AI solution which can offer a very intelligent chatbot, superior customer service, that's fine. It's going to cut down your cost of customer service. But I think my real test there is, that's fine if it pays the license fees or the consulting fees that you will do to implement. The real value is how you monetize it over a 2 or 3 year period. Is there a business program sponsored by the CEO to say, I want to say create a new $1 billion business, and I want to leverage AI to help me create that. Then you start really changing the game and linking AI to driving your revenue ambitions. And that's quite important. And, like I get approached every day by many leading and reputable companies, and a lot of them always talk about, we have done this, we have done this, we have done this, we have done that. Well, I know you have done very well. Congratulations. What can you do for me? So if I am the customer, what can you do for me? How can you impact my business? Can you help me, for example, get better quality leads or faster conversion of my revenue cycle? And I think that mindset of thinking, putting yourself in the shoes of the customer is very important, because unless you can't speak their language and show them how your solution can solve a business pain point, create value, the chances are that all your sales efforts will go in vain, because people will start realizing that you have a great technical solution, but you're not able to demonstrate how it can create a long-term business value for me.
If I may, building on what you said, I think the most focus for the business owner of or the sponsor for the initiatives should be the test of the operation. We are building amazing things, but are they, first of all, linked to the organizational value? Second, are they able to pass the test of what I can say, the Sunday morning operational test? This actually, we have a similar analogy that we can, but in a different era. I mean, what's the competitive edge of the management consultancy firms? It's not that they would say that they have brilliant employees and so on, but ultimately it's their cumulative knowledge pool that any employee in their firm can tap on from different countries to just adjust it, and in a week or two, they can just deploy it to another customer. This competitive edge led them on a boom on obviously the 2030 vision past 10 years, and on will continue with the amplification of AI. So I think operational test would be the critical aspect of any innovation in terms of digital and AI.
Excellent. So it's very good that you guys are both coordinating and complementing each other in the answer. So that's really nice, and I'm sure the audience is also enjoying that. Now, coming back to Abdurrahman, I just want to, have some time left, so let's quickly get in a few more questions, okay? So from the current scenario, all right, the way the AI trend has shaped up as on date, all right, what I want to understand from you is the C-suite now is also, interested in the ROI, okay? So which specific you feel is the AI trend which, will give you a decent ROI in terms of the next 3 to 5 years? Any specific examples or any trend you feel this is something Samir or maybe the audiences should pay attention to?
I mean, if we look at the market in Saudi Arabia in particular and in the region as an overall, we built the infrastructure, the backbone of the digital ecosystem. Now it comes to getting yield from this backbone infrastructure. One trend is very ambitious and very promising is the agentic AI. Basically, it will be the core innovation stream for the organization in the, at least in my opinion, for the coming 5 to 10 years. We will be replacing the measurement of our employee efficiency using AI and using automation, from increasing 20% of efficiency and so on, to AI agent doing specific tasks. And the employee involvement will be managing the outcome, putting the guidelines for the outcome, making sure that it's not deviating from the anticipated output of the AI agent. If we scale that with time, I think we'll reach a stage when we have departments that totally managed by AI agents. And the way to prepare for that is looking at it in terms of the digital twin of the organizations. We should have everything in place as a C-suite in terms of data, procedures, digitized and classified, to make sure that we leverage the digital ecosystem that we have for scalability. In the far future, we will have plug and play departments, pay and roll. Just you can build it from, you can plug and play the department in the ERP system. Everything will be working fine. This is, in terms of startups, in terms of scalability, is very promising area and will enhance the time to market very drastically.
Excellent, excellent.
If I may add to that, I mean, the economy of Saudi Arabia is moving in a slightly different direction than most Western economies. Because, say, unlike a Netflix model where you first charge the subscription fees and then your user consumes over the following months, here you're building these capital projects like data centers or like gigacities. You spend now with the hope that you'll recover the money over the next 5 or 10 years. So I think the two things I would suggest is, first of all, see how AI can be leveraged to help you build these huge capital assets in a faster, better, and cheaper manner. And then obviously the second thing is how then AI can be leveraged to help you operate these facilities that you have built in an efficient manner and help you sell the assets you have built. Because, for example, if you build 50,000 new homes in a new gigacity, they're only as good if you're able to sell them or to rent them out. So that's when you really link it to the core business value that can be generated, taking into account the different dynamics, a different way in which the economy of this country is growing very rapidly.
Excellent. So like I said, you guys are really good in terms of complementing each other in terms of the answers. So that's really useful for the panel. And now we have just one last question for you, Gaurav. Maybe you can wrap this up really well. So you've been on both sides. So you've been on the vendor side as well as the buyer side, right? But now from a, C-suite point of view, if we have to, go ahead and choose any specific vendor or any AI initiative, all right, what is it that, what kind of practices will you suggest people should follow in order to, evaluate, monitor, and scale these digital and AI initiatives?
Yeah, firstly, I don't believe in the term best practice because best practice means you're going to be complacent and never look at improving. So I prefer to use the term leading practice. And I think in my mind, there is one key leading practice. And that is, I'll ask any vendor, are you willing to put your skin in the game? Right? Are you going to link your success to my business outcomes? If not, then we'll see you maybe in a year's time. So I think that partnership and collaborative effort between a recipient of a service or a product and a supplier is absolutely key, because gone are the days when you can sell, say, software on a per seat basis or sell consulting on a time and materials or fixed price basis, because then you have no skin in the game. You will end up charging millions and be accountable for nothing. When you look at the investments which are happening in the kingdom today, hundreds of billions of dollars, it is important to have that collaborative partnership where there is skin in the game, there is accountability for SLAs, for performance, and then, joint risk and reward sharing.
Excellent. So again, thanks, Gaurav, thanks, Abdurrahman. I think we've done with our questions here. Now we'll leave the panel open for any questions from the audience. If anyone has any questions or queries to the panelists or me, please go ahead and we will give a couple of minutes for that.
Thank you, everyone, and great discussion. My name is Mubashir, and I represent Aqua Power and Vision Invest. And we have been doing a lot of research work and recently deployed our own LLM and agentic world on these sort of stuff. My question for you, as both panelists, is that nobody is talking about adoption. How can we let enterprises understand the reality, what AI can do, without getting afraid that AI is going to replace a workforce or something like this? How can we work on adoption? What we can do to strategize adoption in an enterprise world? Thank you.
If I may answer that, I think adoption is basically a terminology that related to projects that started without the value in mind. Yeah. If you have the value in mind for, let's say, in terms of increasing accessibility to data for employees, instead of for them looking for a certain design or a certain document for 30 minutes, it will be within 1 minute through AI agent within the ecosystem. Then the adoption will be inherently in the minds of every employee in the organization. They will be beneficial. They will have efficiency increased, and they will have all the elements that they can succeed in their work. Now I'm talking about the lowest level of employee in the company and to the highest level. If we can link the projects to the value, then adoption it will be seamless and will be basically an inherently practice in the company.
I totally agree with that, and I'll just say one thing, that yes, there is this fear that AI will replace the jobs of leaders. I don't think they will replace the jobs of leaders, but it will help leaders to eliminate people who don't adopt AI, because that is going to be quite key.
All right, thanks everyone. I think we are out of time here, and I'm sure if you guys have any questions or queries, we're gonna be around. You can meet us or you can follow us on LinkedIn and raise your queries there. We'd be more than happy to share our opinion and knowledge and vice versa. All right, thanks Gaurav, thanks Abdurrahman. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.